Hey, hey, welcome or welcome back. It is, as always, good to see you today. It is December 26th. We are the day after Christmas. Amberlynn just finished her Vlogmas, but did upload a video a little bit earlier that we'll get to in a live tonight. But in last night's live on Christmas night, Amberlynn destroyed some food with salt. And I mentioned, because Amberlynn was in the chat, we're going to get to that. I mentioned that I had my dietitian call this morning and I was going to ask my dietitian about this behavior. And I did. And we spent a good 20 minutes talking about it after we went over my own stuff. And I am looking like the ghost of Christmas past here. I know I'm pasty, but shit. Maybe that'll help a little bit. All right, so to give a quick little recap of what happened in her video, here is a little clip where she's talking about the pasta dish.
All right, you guys, update. This is all I ate of this. I did have one biscuit and then a bite of this one. As I kept eating it, I was just like more over and over it, like as I kept going. This is not worth the money to me, but to someone else, maybe. I think this was like $35. Like, hectic. I did eat all the shrimp though. Shrimp was delicious. Highly, highly recommend. And this, once I'm over something, I am truly over it. So I hate to be wasteful, but I am not eating this.
All right, so she clearly stated that she started to not like it the more she ate it. She didn't like it. She wasn't tempted by it. She wasn't going to finish eating it. But, it could be something, I mean, just if she didn't have anything else to fix, maybe she could put it in the fridge, maybe eat it later. She throws it away, she throws it away. Okay, that was the pasta. Now, she did also order a cup of ice cream and a piece of chocolate cake. And she'd forgotten about them. It had been several hours, and she had those. So here is her talking about that.
Right, you guys, I did finish the ice cream, but not the cake, which is actually pretty easy for me to say no to because I'm not 100% an icing girly. I'm more so like the fluff in the middle, if you know what I'm saying. But I'm not gonna lie, that cake is delicious. Definitely recommend.
Okay, so again here, she's not really an icing girly, but, she might want to finish that later. She could very easily just keep that piece of cake in the fridge. If it's tempting, it's tempting. But if she is so tempted by this food, then that signals to me that there is a problem that she needs to address with a therapist to work with to work on establishing healthy coping mechanisms. So here is what happened with that food.
So I know a lot of people will probably get upset with this because it is wasting food, but I really want to be able to have things like this and eat it in moderation. I had less than half of the pasta, whoops, and I also had half of the cake. I'm definitely not tempted by this, so it doesn't even really matter, but this is a little tempting. So when I do have moments like that, I force salt. Why not? Some people use dish soap, some people do hot sauce. It's okay to have these foods in moderation, even if you don't trust yourself fully with them. Like, telling yourself that you can't have something is simply going to make yourself want it more. Again, everyone is different, but you are still allowed to have these things, even if you have to go to these quote unquote drastic measures to prevent yourself from overeating. Like, it's okay. Do not let people shame you.
Okay, here's the thing. If you have to go to those drastic measures to not eat something, that's a problem. This is a form of disordered eating. I showed this clip to my dietitian this morning, and she had the same face that I had, and she was shocked as well. Her opinion of this is a symptom of an eating disorder, of disordered eating, because it is a form of restriction to do this, to make the food uneatable. She says people will do this when they're even cooking food. If they're cooking too much, they'll make stuff too spicy, or add in some seasoning they don't really care for to make sure they don't eat too much of it. And that is an eating disorder symptom in itself because you are forcing yourself to restrict. And I told her my opinions of what I said on all these things, and she said she agreed with me 100%. And those thoughts are, if you have to do this. So Amberlynn stated that she was not tempted by the pasta. And the cake, she's not really an icing girly, so not really that tempting. She could just simply throw these items away instead of her showing us basically making them completely unedible. That is a symptom of disordered eating. Now, if Amberlynn can't just. Why is my monitor being weird? If Amberlynn cannot just simply throw things in the trash and not trust herself to not get those items back out of the trash and eat them, and then think to herself, oh my god, I just ate fucking trash pasta. I'm not a character in Stardew Valley eating trash cookies. This is a problem. Now, I told my dietitian what Amberlynn had came into the chat and said. I pulled up my chat, part of my chat, and showed it. And here is what Amberlynn was saying in the live chat. So, Amberlynn said, I learned the salt trick from when I was seeing a dietitian when I was a teenager, LMAO. And then there was me saying, I think your dietitian was crap. And my dietitian laughed and she's like, yeah, she's like, I agree with you. So we discussed this possibility that, so when Amberlynn was a teenager, this would have been like mid 2000s, because she's what, 34 or getting ready to turn 34 this year? So this would have been like mid 2000s. So if Amberlynn was working with an older dietitian that maybe was trained or had her schooling in the 70s, 80s, early 90s, this type of restriction could have been something that they were promoting, because we all know that diet culture was very toxic in reality during this time period. Now, my dietitian did say that she does know some dietitians that do promote some disordered eating habits, and that's not a good thing. But my dietitian does specialize in eating disorders, and that when she was going to school to become a dietitian, they're basically taught facts and all these things. And for any and all these things, that's very vague, basically related to food and nutrition. And to learn these extra things, you basically have to go do your own research and independent learning to learn these extra things. So this dietitian that Amberlynn was working with probably wasn't the best, or was trained during a time when these types of behaviors were being promoted. Opinions on things and information and studies change over time. So in the 20 years that Amberlynn had that dietitian, let me switch back here really quick. So in the 20 years since Amberlynn had this dietitian, we've learned more information. More information about eating disorders has been discovered and learned, and psychology of all these things has improved and gotten better in the last 20 years. So I think Amberlynn needs to find a current dietitian that's currently practicing, that's trained more recently, to work with, and a therapist that specializes in eating disorders. So now to continue with what Amberlynn was saying in the live chat, we have the negativity is too much and I really want to focus on the positive. So I think I'm going to take a break from watching. It's okay to have a different opinion, but the judgment is a lot to handle. I waste food as much as I donate. I understand I am fortunate, so I make sure to use that to help others. I'm not perfect, but to feel judged for every little thing that I do is a lot, because people only focus on the negative instead of the fact that I chose not to finish my full dessert, which is victory. So let's take a few of these one by one here. um, yes, I had said that Amberlynn is coming across as very entitled, because I'm sure, given a lot of her viewership, she gets what, 50,000 views. I'm sure a lot of those viewers are struggling day to day, paycheck to paycheck, wondering if they're going to be able to put food on the table. So to see a YouTuber that you enjoy or even hate watch, and in but a YouTuber that you enjoy, just see them just to destroy and throw out a $35 lobster pasta meal is kind of a slap in the face and just seems very out of touch with what could be her audience. And also, if some of her audience are people that are in bigger bodies, even just my size, a bigger body, my size, wanting to lose weight, seeing Amberlynn do this is promoting disordered eating to her audience. Moving on to the comment about, I chose to not finish my meal, focus on the positive, not the negative. This is Amberlynn playing the victim. She tends to do this anytime she gets, quote, negative criticism or feedback. She turns into victim Lynn, and people are attacking her, and she wants to focus on the positive. She doesn't want the negativity. I'm sorry, but the world is not all sunshine and rainbows and fluffy bunnies. If you do something that is negative, you're going to get negative feedback on that action. Promoting eating disordered eating type behavior is not going to get you positive feedback. Doing positive things like, hey, I didn't finish my dessert, that's great, I donate, those don't negate the negative behavior. You could be the best person in the world on day 1, but on day 2, you could be a total piece of shit. I'm not saying this about Amberlynn, I'm just saying in general. Maybe somebody donates to food pantries, but they abuse animals in their spare time, or they beat their wife. Well, I volunteer. I donate. That makes me completely impermeable to negative feedback. It doesn't work that way. You can get kudos for your good behavior, but get uh um good grief, what's the word I'm thinking of? You can get flack, we'll go with that, for your negative behavior and have it pointed out to you. I'm not going to kiss your ass if I see bad behavior, and this is a bad behavior. This is something that definitely needs to be worked on with a therapist. Absolutely. So, even people in my chat were like, wow, seeing you destroy this food really hurts me. This isn't cool. And she's like, oh, she was saying that people had a biased view of her because they were saying that this was a bad thing to do. No, it's just they're watching you and they're having an opinion on your actions. And it's like, wow, that's not cool. Everybody has an opinion. That is their opinion. This is not cool. And you are coming across as entitled and out of touch. That is their opinion. That is their perception of you based on these actions. That's also my perception of you based on these actions. Completely out of touch and very entitled to be able to sit there and do that on camera. So, back to the salting the food. Again, having these foods in moderation, absolutely. Have them in moderation, then order them in moderation. If you cannot trust yourself to have half of a piece of cake in the house and half a thing of pasta that you don't even like, that tells me that you aren't over your eating issues and you do really need to get in touch with those therapists that you found and work on these issues to develop these coping mechanisms to help deal with these things. Get to the root of what these issues are so that you don't do this drastic, restrictive behavior of making the food completely unedible. So that's what it boils down to. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums up what I had to say for this one. And yeah, we will be back live in a while um, for Amberlynn's Christmas Day. But if I think of anything else, I will bring it up at a different point. But yes, I did talk to my dietitian about this, and she believes this is a form of disordered eating because it is a form of restriction. And I think Amberlynn needs to work with more current dietitians and get therapy. So, all that being said, I hope you all have an amazing rest of the day. And until next time, be safe and take care.